What is going on, guys? Hope everyone is doing well. Um, so me and my grandfather, we speak on the phone every week, right? And as you guys know, he woke up from the cult just like I did. This past week, or every week when we talk, every time we talk, he says to me, "Jerron, I'm so proud of you, grandson. I'm so proud that you're using your own brain. You're using your critical thinking skills. You're not letting other people think for you." And he says, "I'm happy that you're not listening to your family. You're not following the in crowd." I said, "Grandfather, do you think I would belittle myself? Do you think I would stoop down to my family, my mom, my two brothers? Do you think I would stoop down to their level of stupidity?" And not that I'm not saying it's stupid, right? Because you could be a good person and do bad things and vice versa, right? So I'm not saying that my family, my mom, and two brothers, they're not stupid. But when you choose to blindly believe in men with no sufficient proof, no evidence that what you believe in is the truth, you're just blindly believing. To me, that's stupid. So when me and my grandfather was talking, I said, I am not going to follow my mom and my two brothers' footsteps. If they want to blindly believe in men, then that's their prerogative. That's their right. I don't know why they would want to do that, especially now with all this new light, all the changes in the doctrines, right? There is no way I'm going to blindly follow men when these governing body leaders of Jehovah's Witnesses, they are giving false instructions. They're giving poor instructions. Whenever you have to derail from your original teaching, your original doctrines, when you have to backtrack, that means that all along, this whole time, the governing body leaders of Jehovah's Witnesses, they was getting it wrong. So why are there millions of Jehovah's Witnesses still locked in? Why are there millions of Jehovah's Witnesses still highly indoctrinated, despite all these radical changes? It doesn't make any sense. It don't make any sense. Right now, September 2025, every Jehovah's Witness should be doing critical thinking. Every Jehovah's Witness should be doing some research about their religion. Because it's so obvious. It is so obvious that the governing body leaders, they don't know what they're talking about. And if you are a Jehovah's Witness watching this video, keep in mind, Malachi 3:6 that says, "I am God, I do not change." God doesn't change. So if God doesn't change, how come this organization is doing nothing but radical changes right now? How is that the case if God doesn't change? And these governing body leaders of Jehovah's Witnesses, they're supposed to represent God. So once again, how are there millions of Jehovah's Witnesses still highly indoctrinated? How are there millions of Jehovah's Witnesses still believing in this nonsense? I don't get it. When the governing body leaders, they are telling Jehovah's Witnesses, we don't know what we're talking about. We're just making this up. We're making this up as we go, but we don't know what we're talking about. Because if they knew what they were talking about, they wouldn't keep flip-flopping. They wouldn't keep changing their doctrines. Why would God give them the wrong information in the first place? If men could grow out their facial hair, if women could wear pants, if Jehovah's Witnesses can now raise their glass and toast, if Jehovah's Witnesses can now go to college, how come we could have done none of this all this time? How come Jehovah's Witnesses, they couldn't grow their facial hair, women couldn't wear pants all this time? It is clear as broad daylight. It is crystal clear that the governing body leaders of Jehovah's Witnesses, they don't know what they're talking about. It is crystal clear that this is nothing but a man-made organization. And now in the current the latest Watchtower study edition, the November 2025 study edition, right? I mentioned this in my last video. I'm gonna mention it again. The November 2025 Watchtower study edition, paragraph 7 says, perhaps you are saddened by the possibility that the end of the system will not come in your lifetime. Huh? Huh? What do you mean there's a possibility that it's not coming in our lifetime? When all this time, Jehovah's Witnesses were told the exact opposite. Growing up as a Jehovah's Witness, I always heard the end is right around the corner. The end is any day now. Be on the watch. Don't go to college. Why go to college when the end is going to occur at any given time? So if you are a Jehovah's Witness watching this video, do you see what's going on here? Why would the governing body leaders say that it is now A-OK to go to college? If the end is supposed to be right around the corner. Oh, but that's right. This latest Watchtower says otherwise. This latest Watchtower says that some of you may not see the end in your lifetime. Now, if that's the case, if the Watchtower says that, right? Why are Jehovah's Witnesses still preaching? Why are they still going from door to door? Why are they still standing in front of carts? What's the message now? If the Watchtower says that some of you may not see the end, and when Jehovah's Witnesses, when they go door knocking, when they stand in front of the carts, what's their message? Their message is saying the complete opposite. Their message is telling people that the end is near. But the end is not that near, obviously, if the Watchtower says otherwise. So if you're a Jehovah's Witness watching this video, ask yourself that question. What am I doing out in service? What is the message that I'm relating to people? If the Watchtower article, imagine a Jehovah's Witness encouraging their Bible student to come to the meeting, and they go over that Watchtower that says, oh, there's a possibility that you're not going to see the end. The Bible student will be like, hold on, what? Why am I here? You told me, you knocked on my door, you're studying with me, you're telling me that the end is right around the corner, and I'm now attending the meeting, and this Watchtower is contradicting what you, Jehovah's Witness, what you told me, because you told me that the end is right around the corner. But this Watchtower is saying the complete opposite. So if the end is nowhere in sight, why are witnesses still believing in this nonsense? I don't get it. Now, the other day, last night, I was watching Marcus Vaughn, his latest video. He was talking about how the organization is now being watered down. It's watered down now. You see, Jehovah's Witnesses, they have been drinking this Kool-Aid all their lives, right? They're still drinking the Kool-Aid. However, now the Kool-Aid is being watered down. It's not the same information anymore. This is why critical thinking is important. Like I said in my last video, critical thinking is not optional. It's mandatory. Because when you allow other people to think for you, stuff like this happens. And now Jehovah's Witnesses, I know the majority of Jehovah's Witnesses, they will not express it out loud, but internally they're having some struggles, they're having some doubts. Because all their, everything that they ever believed, their doctrines is shifting gears. Things are changing now. Like I always say, this religion is nothing like the religion I grew up in the 80s and 90s. This is not the same religion. Back in the day, Jehovah's Witnesses always made it their mission to stand out. They wanted to be completely different from everyone else, other religions, right? And now they are identical to other religions. They are identical. If you could go to a Kingdom Hall, right, and not wear a blazer, not wear a tie. The other day, just a few days ago, I saw a young Jehovah's Witness. He looked like he was in his early 20s, early to mid 20s, right? And he looked miserable out standing in front of the car. He looked so depressed. He looked miserable. And he was wearing sneakers. Now, it's one thing if you're gonna wear sneakers out in service. It's one thing if you're wearing black sneakers. But he wore gray and white sneakers. I was like, whoa. They don't even care anymore. You couldn't wear sneakers back in the day. Out in field service, wearing sneakers? You couldn't do that back in the day. Back in the 80s and 90s. Even in the early 2000s, that was a big no-no. Hell no. And it's like the witnesses, they are in autopilot mode. They're running on autopilot. But you have to ask yourself, with all the changes, all the quote-unquote new light, how come there's still millions of people believing in this nonsense? Or do they truly believe? Are they just going to the meetings, going out in service for show? Are they only still witnesses because they know that if they express their doubts, if they decide to leave, they know that they will lose their community, they will lose their families? But whatever the case, you have to ask yourself, why are people still... It's so weird. When I see witnesses standing in front of the courts, I want to approach them so bad. I want to approach them. I want to pick their brains. I want to ask them questions. But I know that the minute that I do that, they're going to pack up their carts and they're going to skedaddle. They're going to leave. Because all they do is listen, listen, listen. They don't think. They don't think. Now, I'm a diehard Boston Celtics fan. I'm a diehard fan. I've been a diehard fan for 20 years. It doesn't matter how good the team is doing or how bad. It doesn't matter. I'm a diehard fan. I'm loyal to the Boston Celtics. That's my team no matter what, right? I love them no matter what. Whether they're doing good or bad, that's my team, right? Now, when it comes to Jehovah's Witnesses, they claim that they have the quote-unquote truth, right? They will say that. Like I said in the beginning of this video, truth doesn't change. Real truth doesn't change at all. Now, I just mentioned that I'm a diehard Boston Celtics fan, right? That's my team no matter what. Jehovah's Witnesses should be diehard fans of the real truth. Of the real truth. Instead, they're fans of the governing body leaders. And this is how you know that Jehovah's Witnesses, they don't care about the real truth. Because people who strive to know the real truth, when they see discrepancies, when they see that the governing body leaders, they're saying one thing that contradicts something else that they say later down the road, that should be an eye-opener. That should leave Jehovah's Witnesses scratching their heads like, hold on, you guys they literally just had a part at the convention a few months ago stating that if an elder's child is going to college, that elder should pretty much be demoted. He should lose his rights to be an elder. He has to step down, right? That was just a few months ago. And just a few weeks ago, just like that, a governing body leader, he gets on stage and says, now it's A-okay for Jehovah's Witnesses to go to college. What about the elders that lost their privileges to be an elder because their kids went to school? What about that? What happened to that? Wow. Like I said, it's so obvious. It's so obvious that this religion is not the truth. They don't have the truth. Jehovah's Witnesses don't have the truth. I personally believe that all religion, they're run by men. They're created by men. They're man-made, money-making organizations. All religions are false, man-made, money-making organizations. And going back to the education, I also believe that that's going to backfire. Now that the governing body leaders, they're telling Jehovah's Witnesses that, oh, you guys can now go to college. Long term, that's going to backfire. Because the more knowledge you gain, the clearer life becomes. The easier you can see. You can see when someone's trying to finesse you. When someone is trying to finesse a situation and trying to run a game on you. When you have more knowledge, more accurate knowledge, that is, right? You become more intelligent, and you can read between the lines. So later on down the road, that's going to backfire. When people go to college, they're going to realize that, you know what? Eventually, they're going to realize that, oh, shoot, I'm in a cult. This is all fake. Time to go. So the fact that Jehovah's Witnesses, the governing body leaders, not instructed, but they pretty much gave the green light for witnesses to go to school, that is going to backfire eventually, because people are going to realize that, you know what? This is a cult. They're going to start to see this religion for what it really is. They really are. Oh, boy. And you know what? I say to myself, and I said this before in a few videos, how at the end of the day, Jehovah's Witnesses, they care way, way, way more about keeping their community. That's their priority. They care about keeping their community. They care about keeping their families. That is their priority. And it's sad that them discovering the real truth, Jehovah's Witnesses doing their research, doing some thorough research on their religion, that's like the last thing on their minds. And so many of them, they have doubts, they have questions, they have concerns about their religion. I know for a fact they do. But they're scared to, because they know that by asking questions, they know that by doing their research, they know that by expressing their doubts publicly, it's not going to end well for them. And I say, who cares? Who cares? We have one life to live. We have one life to live. This is why when I did my research, right, I said to myself, there is no way in hell I'm going to belittle myself, right? I knew that when you do your research, you're like, oh shit, this is not the truth. You see things for what it is, right? You see the organization for what it is, not for what you want it to be. And Jehovah's Witnesses, they want paradise. They want this to be the truth. They want it so badly that even though the signs is right in front of them that this is not the truth, they put that to the back of their minds because they want it to be, they want this to be the truth. They want it so bad. They want this to be the truth so bad that even when this doesn't make sense, they make it make sense in their minds. Oh, Jehovah, he know what he's doing. The governing body leaders are making changes because Jehovah, he's settling matters in his own due times. Like I said in the beginning of this video, Malachi 3:6 says, I am God, I do not change. You have to ask yourself, why are they constantly building, making more projects to make more videos for the JW broadcast? Why are they building projects if the end is supposed to be right around the corner? That's right. It's not. According to the November 2025 article, Watchtower article, paragraph 7, now it's a possibility that you're not going to see the end. So, if the end is not right around the corner, right? If now there's a such thing as last minute repentance, now men could wear beards, even though we were told growing up that Jehovah's Witness men they were clean shaved because they wanted to look nothing like the world. They wanted to be completely isolated, completely different from the world, and now they are identical to the world. You see, there's all these changes, and no one's stopping to ask questions. No one's stopping to say, hey, whoa, what's going on? What did I sign up for? I signed up for when I got baptized, I signed up for something that was completely different from what it is right now. I didn't sign up for this nonsense. I didn't sign up to be a part of an organization where a governing body leader, he could change doctrines just like that in a blink of an eye. I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up to be in an organization where 1 minute a governing body leader is saying, oh, everyone needs to be baptized. They need to be a baptized publisher to make it into the new system. Just for them to turn around and say, you know what, guys, my bad. We once said that you had to be a devout, baptized publisher before the Great Tribulation starts. Our bad. We was wrong. Sorry. We meant to say that anyone can now see the signs at the very last minute and gain last minute salvation and join this organization at the very last minute and live and make it to paradise at the very last minute. Anyone could join. When Jehovah's Witnesses heard that, right? When they heard that last minute repentance nonsense, the first thing that should have came to their mind is, how in the world would this governing body leader know that if he's not even communicating with God? Remember, the governing body leader said from their own mouth that they're not inspired by God. They're not receiving any information from God. They're not communicating with God. They're not communicating with God by text, email, phone call, nothing. When these governing body leaders, when there's new lights, right? New doctrines, you don't ever hear them say, oh, we pray to God, we got this information from Jehovah, the Holy Spirit poured upon us. They don't even mention Jehovah anymore. when there's new light and new changes with this doctrine, they don't even mention Jehovah anymore. That should have been an automatic red flag to witnesses. The fact that they're not even mentioning Jehovah, this is supposed to be about Jehovah. They're called Jehovah's Witnesses. Where is Jehovah? I made a video a few months ago how the title of that video is Jehovah's Witnesses are now governing body leaders, witnesses. They are now governing body witnesses. They are no longer Jehovah's Witnesses. When a governing body leader, someone who is not even inspired by God, when he could go on stage and make an announcement, change it just like that, and you have millions of people listening to them and not even asking, hey, when did they mention Jehovah with these changes? When did they pray to Jehovah? When did they say the Holy Spirit poured upon them? They're not even talking about Jehovah anymore. And yet you have millions of Jehovah's Witnesses still indoctrinated. Like I said, I'm pretty sure they have doubts. I'm pretty sure the vast majority of witnesses, they have doubts, but they're running on this hamster wheel. They're remaining busy. They're not asking questions. They're not doing any deep soul searching. You see, when you do some deep soul searching, you strive to know the truth about your organization. They're not even doing that. They're just blindly believing whatever is being told to them. And this last, I think it was a few weeks ago when they had the Watchtower study about some witnesses, are going to be saddened by the possibility that they are not going to see the end in their lifetime. That should have woken up every single Jehovah's Witnesses. And every single Jehovah's Witness should have been asking themselves, how is it that that the governing body leaders, they now want us to make reoccurring monthly payments? They want that. They want our money, but they can't guarantee that we're going to live to see paradise. When back in the day, all our lives, we were told paradise is right around the corner. The end is near any day now. So you can't guarantee paradise anymore. They can't guarantee paradise. But yet, the governing body leaders, they want our money? They want monthly payments every month? Huh. You see, that should have woken up every Jehovah's Witness. The fact that there's still millions of people locked in, there's still millions of people highly indoctrinated, it is beyond me. It is beyond me. You know, and we all want to be loved. Everybody wants to be admired, cherished, valued, cared for. We all want to be liked. We all want to be loved. We all want to be accepted. Every single person on this planet, right? However, when it comes to Jehovah's Witnesses, they sell their souls. They will sell their souls to be liked. And what I mean by that is that they would rather keep their mouth shut, keep their community, keep their family and quote unquote friends. They would rather hush hush, even though they're having doubts, right? They would rather hush hush with their doubts, with their concerns and questions, just to keep their community, the family, their friends. They are selling their souls for a community, when in reality, every single Jehovah's Witnesses should be online doing their research. This is the time to. We have one life to live. And I just can't believe how millions of people, they would rather continue to blindly believe in a lie than to discover the real truth about this organization. I don't get how millions of people would rather throw away their one life that we have over a pipe dream that's nowhere to be found. According to that watchtower, the November 2025 watchtower, paradise is nowhere to be found. Paradise ain't coming no time soon, according to that watchtower. For them to say that there's a possibility that some of you are not going to see the end of the system, that's a slap in the face to witnesses. That's a slap in the face. Because witnesses have given their entire life believing that the end is right around the corner, just for the governing body leaders to say, oh, it's a possibility that you're not going to see it. We said it was right around the corner, but we were just saying that just to keep you guys on this hamster wheel, just to keep you guys obeying, just to keep you guys in fear. Because after all, this is a fear-mongering organization. This is a fear-mongering cult. It's a fear-mongering religion. They have to scare you. Paradise is right around the corner. The end is any day now. If you don't listen to us, you're going to die. It's all fear-based. And once you read past the fear, once you see that, oh, this is just, it's a fear tactic. That's all it is. Once you see it for what it is, you can no longer, and you will no longer be a witness. Once you see that it's all fear-based and this is all fake, you will leave this organization like I did. Like thousands and thousands, many people are leaving right now. Thousands upon thousands. And a lot of witnesses, I feel like they're scared to have this, I call it the Steve Urkel complex. I wasted 20, 30, 40 years of my life, 40 plus years of my life believing in this nonsense. Did I do that? I didn't do that, did I? I didn't waste decades of my life believing in a lie. You see, no one wants to come to that conclusion. No one wants to admit that they wasted decades. I'm talking about, can you imagine wasting 50 plus years? You have to realize, you have to like sit back and be like, whoa, whew. Did I really invested 50 plus years of my life to something that's not even real? You see, that's why there's millions of people still locked in. Because no one wants to come to the conclusion that they wasted decades of their life living a lie. But if you're a Jehovah's Witness watching this video, just like I said in my very last video, what is the alternative? You keep doing what you're doing right now. Paradise is nowhere in sight. We have one life to live. We're all going to die one day. And it's sad that you rather die not knowing what real love is. You would rather die believing in a lie. Because as a witness, your entire life is a lie. All your friends are superficial and fake. Your friends really don't love you as a Jehovah's Witness. Your family really don't love you as a Jehovah's Witness. Your spouse, if you're married, your spouse they really don't love you as a Jehovah's Witness. People are only friends. People are only getting married in this religion based off the fact that they all believe in this one thing. But you take that one thing out the equation, what do you have? You see, no one wants to come to that conclusion that, whoa, my friends, my family, my spouse, this is all fake. The foundation of what we believe in, the foundation, the reason why we're close, the reason why we're friends is all fake. No one wants to come to that conclusion. It is easier to hush, hush, keep your mouth shut, and keep blindly believing. That's easier. Easy to do that. But what happens later on down the road when you grow old and before you pass away and leave this earth, before that happens, right? You have to sit back and look back at your life. And you're going to realize, that's going to be the worst feeling ever. When you realize, when reality hits you hard in the face, and you have to realize that your entire life was a lie. Everything you ever done as a Jehovah's Witness, everything you ever believed in, all the time you wasted, all the time you could have used on this planet, you could have used it living in your life authentically. But instead, you used the short time on this planet, you used it to slave for a man-made money making organization. And you know what happens when you die? You're going to become another statistic, another person that just gave away their life to this organization, to this false organization. And the one life that you had, that you should have, could have, and would have used, had you known the real truth about this organization, had you done your research. The one life that you had, you could have used it to live your life authentically. You could have used it to do whatever you wanted to do. You could have used your life to be surrounded by real ones. You could have traveled. You're going to look back on your life 50 plus years from now, and you're going to wish you listened to me. All because you choose to do things the easy way. It is so easy. Like I said in my very last video too, it's so easy to be a witness. When you know that all you have to do is show up. Show up to the meetings. And people will admire you. But little do you know, these people aren't really your people. They're only your people because you guys all believe in the same thing. But you take that out the equation, these people really don't like you. They're not really your friends. And in the near future, you're going to realize that you did all this for nothing. Your entire life as a witness was for nothing. You're going to grow old and eventually die, and you're going to have nothing to show for your life. That's why there's millions of people still locked in. That's why there's millions of people still running on that hamster wheel. Because they don't want to face the music. They don't want to face the hardcore facts that what they believe in, even though it's so obvious right now in September 2025, it's so obvious with all these radical changes. It's so obvious that the governing body leaders, they don't know what they're talking about. It's so obvious that this is nothing but a money-making, man-made organization. So witnesses, they do this generation after generation. Grandparents, parents, kids, generation after generation of people being born and raised in this organization, passing it down to their offspring, just for them to do the same thing. No one asks questions. People keep hearing the same nonsense. Oh, the end is right around the corner. The end doesn't come. Generations pass on they go from generation to generation. People pass away, grandparents pass away, parents pass away, and they keep lying to themselves. As each generation passes, they keep lying to themselves. The end is right around the corner. The end is imminent. It's there. Meanwhile, it's nowhere to be found. And now is the time for people to start asking questions. Now is the time for Jehovah's Witnesses to face the music. Because this organization is crashing. For the governing body leaders to make these radical changes with their doctrines, this organization is coming down. It's crashing. It's crashing. I'm loving every minute of it. But going back to what I said in the beginning of this video, my grandfather said to me, Jerron, I love the fact that you're thinking for yourself. You're not following the in crowd. You're not following your mom. You're not following your two brothers. And I said, grandfather, I'm not going to belittle myself. I know my worth. And if my mom, my two brothers, if they want to follow mere men, go ahead. That's their right. That's their prerogative. As for me, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to stoop down to my family's level of stupidity and blindly believe in something just because I want to keep my family. I'm not doing that. Because at the end, my family, they're going to be looking stupid. When they're all old and paradise ain't nowhere to be found, paradise ain't nowhere near, my family, my mom and my two brothers, they're going to be looking stupid. Not me. Because I'm not following men. I'm not following a fake man-made organization, false man-made. I'm not doing that. Life is too short. I'm not using the limited time on this planet playing the land of make-believe and waiting for a paradise that's never going to come. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. That's the music that every Jehovah's Witness is going to have to face in the future. They're going to have to look back at their life and be like, damn, I'm now in my 80s. I was born and raised in this organization. I'm now in my 80s, my 90s. And I wasted my entire life for what? For what? For nothing. For nothing. It's sad that Jehovah's Witnesses, they don't want to think long term. But you know what? They're going to have to. They're going to have to face the reality. At one point or another, their reality is going to hit them. And it's going to come crashing. And it's not going to be pretty. When people realize, that they wasted decades of their life living a lie, and they cannot get that time back, that's going to be the worst feeling ever. But people are still locked in. Millions are still in this because they don't want to admit to themselves that they are part of a man-made, money-making organization that lied to them. They don't want to have to live with that reality. That's why there's millions of people still believing in this nonsense. But like I said, one way or another, they're going to have to face the music at some point in their life. At some point in their life, before they pass away, they're going to have to come to realize that, damn, I slaved for the Watchtower and Tract Society. I slaved my entire life. I did everything that they asked me to do. And instead of walking into paradise, I'm going to be walking into a casket. Because 100 years from now, none of us are going to be here. So if our time on this planet, if it's limited, why would you want to use the short time on this planet, slaving for a man-made organization, when you can live your life authentically, right here, right now? Guys, I love you guys. If you are a Jehovah's Witness watching this video, I want you to do your research. Because if you don't, you're going to have to face the music in the near future. And I promise you, it's not going to be pretty.